This week in comic books from DC, we get a tribute to Stan Lee, and it was kind of interesting. In Marvel, we get Murder World, Spider-Man #1, and none of that happened. None of that title happened whatsoever. We will talk about what did go on in that book. And in the lands of Independent, I got Power Rangers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Team Up, Volume 2, Issue 1, and it was my first introduction to the comic book format of the Power Rangers, and I want to share what I thought of it. That and a load of other comic books. But first, let's pay a few bills. Hey weirdos, do you ever find it hard to get going in the morning? Do you need a swift kick in the butt to get your day started? I find a good cup of coffee helps me supercharge my evil genius ways and motivates my villainy. Coffee Brand Coffee is the perfect start to my dastardly day. They offer multiple roast and flavors, teas and cocos, while you sit by the fire and watch all your enemies burn. Go to Coffee Brand Coffee today and use promo code POCANJOE and save 10%. Coffee Brand Coffee. No gimmicks, just coffee. Hey, what's going on, you wonderful weirdos? Welcome back. It's New Comic Book Day, haul and review. Let's jump right into it with what I picked up this week. I got quite the stack of comic books, so let's get into it. Right up off the bat, we got John Stewart, The Emerald Knight, #1. This was kind of an interesting story. So in this one, we're dealing with an entity, a god or a godlike being that has a trouble with, progressing, moving forward, right? Because all the pseudo gods or demigods eventually become evolved into a god of something, so like the god of war or something along those lines. In this one, because of his unwillingness to change in any way or have anything around him change in any way, he evolves into the god of nostalgia. They literally call him that in here. I thought that was interesting. I don't know if there was a little tongue-in-cheek action going on there, like a little joke to people that don't like changes in comic books. I don't feel that it was that way. I've heard some people say that's what they were doing. Of course, they're bashing it. I didn't really see it that way. I just kind of see it as, hey, some people just don't want to see change, regardless of their age. This is what it is. So, yeah, kind of playing with that concept was fun. Also, John Stewart in this, if you don't know, he is ascended. He's not a god. He's ascended. That's very confusing for me, right? Because woo-woo is woo-woo. What did he ascend to? Pure energy or something along those lines? I'm not sure. But he doesn't really need the ring to be able to enhance his powers or use his powers in any way like he did when he was a Green Lantern. Probably what's most interesting in this, his first thought is I need to share this power with other people. Okay, I get where you're going with that. I understand, give everybody a little bit so everybody can be powerful, but he's still objectively more powerful than everybody else. Again, interesting, cool cover, really liked it. It was I really liked the artwork in here, and it was an okay story at best. So, yeah, I don't know if we'll chase that down anymore. It is what it is. Next from DC, as stated in the beginning, we have the tribute. I went with this Batman cover. This is a rehashing of just Stan Lee's Just Imagine series. These characters, it's not their first appearance or anything along those lines. But basically, we just take DC characters and we endow them with various traits and abilities from Marvel characters, and we just kind of amalgamate them together and created this story for it. For the most part, it was pretty interesting. I thought it was very imaginative. Some of the things, like Aquaman in here, was very similar to a Spider-Man type character and his actions and the way he moves and things like that throughout the comic book. I thought that was interesting. The Shazam character, which is really kind of like the demon, Alagon, the demon. I thought that was pretty interesting, and a few other ones. Flash story was very heart-wrenching in there, and very good too. So all in all, I thought it was a good tribute. I thought they did a good job on that, and I would actually probably read some more of that. Next, my cover of the week. I'm not even gonna lie, I got the 1 in 25 Action Comics number 1050 with Lex Luthor there on the front. So first, the story's kind of weird because this is supposed to be the launch of our new DC idea, right? But they're using very old DC stories in here, where Lex Luthor gets a power suit and fights Superman because he's a dirty alien or whatever they call him, right? And we got Metallo coming back. Metallo looks awesome in this, much better. So I guess it's a fresh new design and look, but still a lot of the same stories that you may be familiar with and like very much. I love this version of Lex Luthor. I love his mannerisms. I love it. He's just super villainous. Like, he's a villain, and he's a villain because he's a villain. So I really like this. This was good, and again, love that cover. It's super cool. Moving on, probably one of my favorite reads this year has been Steel. It's very Shakespearean, you know, with the whole royal drama behind the back scene, and then right when you're like getting kind of tired of that, and like blam, right, jumps into all-out war. 3 warring factions in here. Everything's going at it. But why is everybody acting weird, or why are the key players acting very weird in this, right? Superman's mom, Mrs. L, I guess we'll call her. She outright just kills somebody in this. Well, come to find out, there's always a puppet in the background, a master of puppets, if you will, in the background. And in this case, we're pulling from the famous Martian the Manhunter and the Martian story, where it was the white Martians who were shapeshifters and can be invisible. We find out Alfred's actually Martian Manhunter in this. And of course, the white Martians are kind of shapeshifting themselves to cause this war for some reason. The Green Lantern Joker in it, the Man in Green, that is just great in here. Come to find out, he's just insane. Just an insane guy doing bad things. I'm sure they'll add more to that later. But for the most part, this has been an enjoyable read. I love the artwork in it. I love the panel setups in it too. It's a very easy story to follow, and it doesn't get too deep in this issue. But yeah, I don't know. I like stories from medieval. Then you throw superpower stuff into it. It's one of my favorite things to read. Another thing I really love reading is Sergeant Rock. This has just been great. Every issue's been nonstop action. And this one, Sergeant Rock and his sniper, Four Eyes, the guy wears glasses, gets separated from Easy Company to go chase down, bad guy from World War II boss. You know that guy? That guy? They go hunt him down. YouTube's weird. You can't, they don't like it when you use these terms. So you gotta kind of play with the rules, right? So they go chase him down, and they find the secret base, really. And what's going to happen is that they're hoping that they're hoping that our bad guy from World War II is there as well. So maybe it's a 2-for-1 deal on this one. I don't know, but it's just super cool. And with it being zombies, the sky's the limit. You can blast away at anything you want. It's super cool. Very action-packed. A lot of battles going on in between point A and point B. Running through. Oh, it's just a read. It is a read. And I really love the one-liners in it. Just the veteran army guy one-liners in it have been absolutely outstanding. And Bruce Campbell is one of the writers on this. So that's a plus, too. Because you can see him being Sergeant Rock in this, right? If you've read it. Definitely let me know down below if you kind of see that too, or if you're reading any of this stuff, let me know. Next, okay, so yeah, Murder World, #1, Spider-Man. It's not #1. It's actually at issue #2. It's just the next stage of the contestants going through the arcade's little death tournament thing here. This is all about Edna. She is an MMA fighter, super strong, super tough. She's competing in this to prove something to herself, plus $100 million doesn't hurt, along with a bunch of other people. And this one, the reason why it's Spider-Man, they go against a bunch of, and this, definitely let me know what you think about this. They don't go against any Spider-Man in any way or any universe. They actually go through the robot versions of them. And then she hooks up with a guy who may end up having to kill her later because he may be an assassin. They hinted towards that towards the end too. I just know. There's just not enough going on in this book. It's nothing but just thought narrative through the entire thing, and a lot of bragging about yourself. And I'm just like, those are not some of the things I find very enjoyable inside of a comic book, and this is a lot of that. I think the character could be really cool, not being super powered, but still being a skilled fighter. There's a lot you can do with that. Instead, we hooked her up with a man, right, in a group, and they did the sweet stuff, right? Not really comic book stuff. I don't know. Next, Yoda, #2. So Yoda's been going back and forth from planet to planet, from his Jedi temple to this kind of third world country type village in outer rims of space. He's going back and forth. He's been teaching these people how to defend yourself, a little bit about technology, yada yada yada, right? All the good stuff. But then the bad guys come and steal Yoda. Instead of just attacking the village again, they steal Yoda. I think this is going to be a story about perceptions, right? Because they obviously need Yoda for something, but that hasn't been exactly explained to us. And the kids are kind of kept in a dark room, like prisoners. And obviously, the good guy tribe has a problem with this, and they're like, no, you don't understand, but they're warlike in nature, so they just fight. So I think this is going to be about perception at the end of the day and how everybody can get along. But we're definitely going to chase it down and find out, because I love making a prediction and then finding out if it's true. Next, Strange Academy number 3. So this is weird. So the Magical Council of New Orleans has a meeting that they're kind of having a problem with the kids tearing up, the town, destroying everything. That stuff costs money. So the kids get together and they hold a big fundraising carnival. Everybody shows up, but the kids being kids and not understanding that probably in a magic school there's not a whole lot of cookbooks. They're all spell books. Accidentally summon a demon into the world. Kids got to fight it back. But Emily and her new 2 henchmen, because they're the bad fraction now, kind of talk to Calvin about possibly joining their team, giving his evil jacket back that acts more like a symbiote. He gets the sweetest taste he possibly can of that magic again. But he turns it down because he's trying to, reinvent himself and be a better person and just be a cog in the wheel as part of their little community there. And of course, this upsets Emily, who wants to break down the establishment and fight the power and all this other stuff. So what does she do? She goes and sees Dormammu, the guy that wants to destroy humanity, whose son is in the academy, who she dated. I don't know. I'm talking to the fellas for a second, guys. Have you had an ex-girlfriend that ever just went and talked to your dad because, they had a problem with you? That would seem awkward to me. But that happened in the story, and it was actually pretty good. Like, it's pretty funny. All right, next. Moon Knight. So, Moon Knight has had enough of this organized vampire thing. He shows up and buys the thing, right? They're in a room. It's a conference hall type of thing. They're doing a typical, Steve Jobs type of form, if you will. Everybody's sitting at, all the vampires are sitting at tables. Moonlight cuts on the sprinkler system, which is filled with holy water, and just starts hacking and slashing through there. Tiger is with him. She's doing the same thing. Soldier's the one that's doing all this stuff. And, of course, he's got the female vampire there. I forget her name right now. She's a cool character, too. So they go through there hacking and slashing away at all this. And, of course, they leave one survivor to send back to Dracula, who's in Chernobyl right now in the Marvel continuity. And it's like, hey, go tell him that, New York is, like, off limits now. Otherwise, this is going to be him. Like, we're done. Goodbye. And then we find out at the end that Zodiac, you remember that psychopath from the first run, kind of played in and out of it? Yeah, he's back. He's back. And you may not remember my reviews, but I really liked him as a villain because it really personified like the extreme levels of being a psychopath. And I thought they did a good job in that, and I'm really happy to see him back. All right, going into Independence, Creepshow. 2 quick stories in here. One about a kid vampire hunting team. Well, they become a kid vampire hunting team. But it doesn't go the way you normally expect inside of a movie or something like that. The vampires eat the kids, except for one who was too thin. So they let her become an agoraphobic person, a person that just stays inside, and wait till she kind of plumps up a little bit. Not my words, that's what happened in the story. And then they come back to see her. Oh, it's so bad. Oh, so bad. And the next one is a Nacho Libre story about a haunted mask that takes over the person and makes them a psychopath as well. And there's a scene where she's literally ripping it off her face and like skin and everything. Like, there's some gore in here. Viewer discretion. Next, alright, so I never read Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. They were not a comic book thing when I was a kid, when I was reading comic books. And honestly, I vaguely remember the show. I remember it being kind of corny. I think my daughter watched a couple episodes of it. It wasn't really my thing. So I went ahead and picked up, of course, an homage cover there to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1. Read through this, and it was actually pretty good. The artwork in it's outstanding. I liked the play with the Turtles and the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers being able to work together and combat in this. We get some of our most classic characters from both the genres in here. And they did a really good job in here with, if you didn't read volume 1 of this particular series, like me, if you didn't read that, and you just randomly picked this one up, they did a great job kind of catching you up to date through the dialogue instead of just relying on a narrative box, or go see issue, right? They did a very good job of like, hey, remember when we had to fight blah, blah, blah? That was the last issue. It was pretty smart. I really liked the writing in this because I didn't feel like I had to go do a bunch of research for it. I'm pretty much up to speed and I can move forward with your story now. So kudos there. Like, no doubt. That was just great. Last but not least, the weirdest pick of the week. So we got the Saga of Doom universe. This is 2 stories, right? It's a comic book story about a villain winning for a change and destroying all the superheroes in the world except for like a handful, like the pacifist ones who actually help the bad guys, and then like for some reason some guy with a super duper memory, super sleuth I think is what they call them. And then there's this other story, like it reads like a conspiracy theory that at Saga Comics they tried to use some biodegradable paper, and it turned out to be poison. It's like written in there like it's supposed to be like a secret message to the readers or something like that. It's still really weird. I'm still on the fence with this one. I'm going to need at least one more issue to make a determination if I like this or not. It sounds weird, but I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt. Alright guys, that's my haul for this week. I hope you all had a wonderful, wonderful holiday season. And New Year's is coming, so let me go ahead and say Happy New Year to you. New year, new adventures, right? Go be adventurous. So definitely try some of the things out there. And as always, comment down below, like, subscribe, share. I always like a good share. If you got somebody out there in the comic book community or some nerd out there that just loves comic books, let them know old Pocan Joe here does comic book reviews, and I'd love to hear from them as well. All right, guys, I got nothing else. I got to get out of here. I'll talk to you all later. Bye.